Protests continue against excessive force by the police. In New York, Eric Garner's daughter staged a die-in on the spot where he was killed. In Washington, congressional staffers gathered on the southeast steps of the Capitol. And yesterday, medical students held a white coat die-in in Boston, Los Angeles, and New Orleans. In a new CBS News poll, 54% of African Americans told us they have been the target of police discrimination. Jeff Pegues talked about that with a group of police chiefs: Rodney Monroe of Charlotte, Charles McClelland of Houston, Edward Flynn of Milwaukee, and Janae Harto of Minneapolis.
People are frustrated, rightfully so. What's positive, I think, is that we're having a national conversation about race relations in police, and it's frankly a long overdue conversation.
Did you think the Garner case was excessive force?
I'm not going to render a judgment on that, but I will certainly concur with the general opinion that even lawful uses of force, let alone perceived unlawful uses of force, look terrible. All right? Use of force in our business is a tough thing. It's never pretty.
I think it was unfortunate. I think it's an issue and an incident that's occurring in different ways in different places across the country. And that's what people are really struggling with. How do we get through these incidents? How do we continue to communicate with our communities in order to move forward?
There is this sense that police officers, white and black, frankly, view black males, black teenage males as a threat.
The concern and the perception is real. I will say that. Because historically, if you look back, there has always been tension between minority communities and law enforcement. Now, I'm not saying that police officers are racist by nature, but the situation can enhance biases after you're here on the job.
Why is that?
Well, if you're a police officer and you work in certain neighborhoods, certain communities, and the people that you are arresting look a certain way, behave a certain way, it's easy for someone to get stereotyped.
Listen, I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear you acknowledge that. I mean, basically what you're saying is that there is profiling, right?
Well, hold on a minute. Just hold on a minute. Let's have some context. Our officers are called upon to intervene in our most disadvantaged, violent neighborhoods, all right? And in my city, 80 to 85% of my homicide victims every year are African American. More than 90% of my offenders in homicides are African American, and the leading cause of death for a young black man in America is homicidal violence. That's the environment urban policing is taking place in. It's not a question of making assumptions about folks, because the people in my city that have that dinner table conversation about the cops also have it about other young men.
And there is a difference between criminal profiling and racial profiling. Criminal profiling is legal.
61% of the people that we polled believe that police need better training on handling confrontations with civilians. What do you think, Chief Harto?
I think there's always opportunities to improve our training. What we expect in our police officers are different than what we expected them to do 30 years ago. The ability to communicate. We're in the people business. We have to be able to communicate. It's our number one tool.
To solve the problems that we've discussed here today, it just can't be the police. It's going to take government, business, educational institutions, and religious institutions. That's what it's going to take to solve this problem.
Do you think that'll happen?
This is the United States of America. Yes, I do believe it'll happen.
You have to believe that.
They called policing the single most difficult job in American government. And Scott, I thought this was interesting. Milwaukee's police chief said, and these are his words, that his officers come in, they are these beautiful baby cops, and then they collide with a dark, depressing, and violent reality.
Fascinating interview, Jeff. Thanks very much.